Blessings, beloveds. Welcome back again. I just want to share something really interesting with you guys that I forgot to mention in the video I did about the Australian national chart. So what I want to show you is the Sabian. Well, I'm going to read the Sabian symbol for you. So just have a quick look at Australian national chart again. So we have the Sun at 10 degrees of Capricorn, right? And Saturn at 7 degrees of Capricorn. And I forgot to mention this earlier. Solar eclipse we just had on the 26th of December 2019, which really wasn't very long ago, was at 4 degrees of Capricorn. That's a solar eclipse. Now, solar eclipses, as I've said many, many times over, are the eclipses that actually bring cataclysmic events. Lunar eclipses, not so much, but certainly solar eclipses. Now, this solar eclipse that happened on the 26th of December was conjunct Australia's Sun and Saturn. That within itself is extremely powerful, that Australia's national chart has been hit off by Saturn and Pluto transiting, as I pointed out in the previous video. Please watch the previous video for a full understanding of that. But we must also consider the solar eclipse, which was also conjunct the Sun and Saturn. Now, have a listen to these Sabian symbols. Sabian symbols are a study of astrology where there's been quite a few different people who have put their version of what each symbol means, meaning every degree of the zodiac has a particular narrative. This narrative can sometimes speak volumes of your life story. So, for example, you could look at the Sabian symbol of your ascendant, of your sun, of your moon. You can do it with everything in your chart, but you don't necessarily want to do that. You might just find yourself being lost. That's about it. I would recommend having a look at Sabian symbols for certain things in your chart, especially like South Node, North Node, Ascendant, Sun and Moon, yes. But you don't want to overwhelm yourself with a narrative for every single degree. As I said, you'll just find yourself being lost. So the other thing is about Sabian symbols, sometimes they can, give an incredible narrative and description that the person resonates with, that describes virtually their whole life, what their whole life is really about. And in other cases, the narrative just doesn't connect, okay? So it does happen. However, in this particular instance, with regards to the solar eclipse, which was at 4 degrees of Capricorn, and just one other point here for those of you that may or may not be aware, when it comes to Sabian symbols, if we are looking at 4 degrees of Capricorn, which we are, pertaining to the solar eclipse that occurred in December, normally in the Sabian symbol book, we would go to the subsequent degree, which would be 5 degrees of Capricorn. But what I have found over the years is that sometimes it's actually worth reading 3 degrees, as in the actual degree of the body you are looking at, the degree before or the degree after. Sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes it nails it with the subsequent degree, but it's important to keep an open mind and actually look at, so for example, with this 4 degrees of Capricorn, I've actually looked at 4, which normally we'd go to 5, but I've looked at 4 and 5, and it's crazy because both those degrees, those Sabian symbols at 4 degrees and 5 degrees of Capricorn are just mind-boggling with regards to the Australian fires. So I'm going to read 4 degrees of Capricorn. Here's the Sabian symbol. A group of people outfitting a large canoe at the start of a journey by water. Now, when I read that, that made hairs stand up on my arms. The keynote is the ability to use natural resources and basic skills in order to achieve a group response. Now, both the phrase and the keynote that I just read to you correlate to the firefighters that have been trying to save this country. It hasn't been our government. It's been the frontline men and volunteers from all over the country. Loads of volunteers. And we've had some assistance with a naval ship coming to certain bases and so forth. And so when you hear this description of the Sabian symbol of 4 degrees of Capricorn, I'll read it again. A group of people outfitting a large canoe at the start of a journey by water. And the keynote again, the ability to use natural resources and basic skills in order to achieve a group purpose. I mean, honestly, it's actually literal. This particular Sabian symbol is literal for what's been happening on this land. Okay, now the 5th degree of Capricorn in the Sabian symbol is also very interesting to me, and I think this, and I don't know which one. I feel that both of them really speak to this particular eclipse. Okay. Which was at 4 degrees of Capricorn, which makes a conjunction to Australia's Sun in Capricorn and Australia's Saturn in Capricorn. Okay, so here's the 5th degree. Indians on the warpath, while some men row a well-filled canoe, others in it perform a war dance. Keynote, the mobilization of physical and emotional energies in a spirit of conquest. Again, what a beautiful, powerful symbol for the 5th degree of Capricorn, which correlates to this solar eclipse that happened on the 26th of December 2019. So there's just more information for you. In this case, demonstrating the example of Sabian symbols and just how powerful they can speak at certain times. And in this case, these symbols have just outdone themselves. It's just extraordinary how literal they are relative to the circumstances and events of Australia currently. Thanks for listening again, guys. I'll see you soon. Much love.